Adam Copeland was pandering, virtue signalling, begging, and trying to draw attention to AEW and Tony Khan. But can he draw where it really matters? And that is in the quarter-by-quarter hours. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. We're going to find out right now, is Adam Copeland a draw, or has Adam Copeland lost his edge? Well, Quarter 1 of AEW Dynamite, as you expect, starts off with the best quarter of the show. We got 933,000 people watching. I think everybody knows now that the Big Bang Theory is helping this rating dramatically. Quarter 1 was Adam Copeland cutting a live promo. And then the ending of the quarter was Powerhouse Hobbs versus Will Ospreay. 933,000 viewers. Now, if we compare this to last week's, it kicked off with 939,000. And if we compare it with 2 weeks ago, it kicked off with 911,000. So we can see here that seems to be the new territory, I think, for the kickoff here. Around the lower regions of 900. Probably like low to mid 900. And gone are the days. It's been a while since they got like high 900s or a million even. I think they may have done that, the Mercedes Mone debut. But we can see now that she's just another person on the roster and she ain't bringing any ratings to this show.
No, she's not. And I mean, if you want any more proof that the Big Bang Theory here is delivering week in, week out, there's consistency and it's not just 1 week. And I think what you would need to actually see is Big Bang Theory not be on before Dynamite, to actually see what the true rating is. But obviously, if more people want to tune into Dynamite, then you would see it would reflect it with the Mercedes Moné. It's not like there was 80,000 more people watching Big Bang Theory that week.
Yeah, well, talk about people tuning in. A lot of people tuned out. 18% of the people, to be exact. So we go from quarter 1 doing 933,000 to quarter 2 doing 761,000. And that consisted of the continuation of Hobbs versus Ospreay, and then a post-match, I guess, scuffle between the two in Don Callis. So we're looking, I mean, that is a huge amount of viewers to lose. We're talking, do the maths off the top of my head, 139,000 plus, I know, we're looking at what, 172,000?
That's a lot, man.
172,000.
I mean, that's a fifth of your audience.
172,000 people tuned out between quarter 1 and quarter 2. And you have to assume that it is because of Will Ospreay and Powerhouse Hobbs, because they were at the end of quarter 1 and they were the only thing in quarter 2.
Yeah, and that's a problem with the matches though. AEW, like, yeah, for once it actually kicked off with a promo. Most part it's a match.
Now, we looked at the Collision ratings quarter by quarter last week. The quarter 2 actually went up when Edge was in it with Matt Cardona. So I think that shows you that in Collision, they liked what they seen kicking off the show, so they stuck around to watch the continuation of it in quarter 2. But here, they've seen that Powerhouse Hobbs versus Will Ospreay is starting at the end of quarter 1, and it looks like they went, nah, I don't want that, and they've tuned out.
Yeah, but we're led to believe, oh, Will Ospreay, he's the future, so's Powerhouse Hobbs, and here's a 50-odd-year-old Adam Copeland, baby.
I refuse to believe that if Adam Copeland was given an open challenge tonight, TNT title, and at the end of quarter 1, somebody decent came out and Adam Copeland was going to defend the belt, they would not have lost 172,000 viewers. It would be down, yes, but not by this much. 18%, that's crazy talk.
No, I mean, you're talking a fifth of the viewers, pretty much.
Yep, but don't worry, because Daniel Bryan's up next, or Bryan Daniels in the big draw. I mean, we always hear how this guy's a huge star, a legend, one of the best of all time. Quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45. Daniel Bryan versus Lance Archer, the only thing that was in quarter 3, and we went down 1%, 756,000 viewers. So you can't blame anything else here. This was the only thing that happened in quarter 3, and they didn't even have an ad break. They had one of those picture-in-picture ad breaks, so the action still continued. So you can't even say, oh, people tuned out when they went to the ads. I mean, quarter 3 was solely Bryan Danielson versus Archer, and nobody wanted to see it. Even less people seen this than they did the continuation of Hobbs versus Ospreay.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan, it just proves, so people are stuck in this bubble that because he main evented Mania, because a bunch of marks in the crowd chanted yes, that he's this bona fide WrestleMania legend main eventer. He's just not a draw. Look at his name. Come on. He's been taking on Japanese guys recently. People are, look what bangers Tony Khan's giving us every week. But the viewership disagrees with that.
Even Edge said that in the opening promo. Bangers.
Aye, bangers and gash is fucking more like, man. But up next with quarter 4 with the finisher Danielson Archer, and again there's just a trend that these matches continue into 2 quarters.
And they continue to lose numbers. So yeah, we had that. The end of that, Jericho and Hook having a backstage promo. Shane Taylor Promotions backstage promo. I think that tells you everything you need to know.
And the beginning of Billy Gunn JY.
Now this did lose 2%, and it was 743,000. But the next quarter 5, 9 o'clock to 9:15, we got the continuation of Billy Gunn Jay White. Then we had like the stuff aftermath of it. And then there was a Willow Nightingale promo, which, trust me, nobody was tuning in for. This actually went up 5% to 780,000 viewers, and it was the second highest quarter outside of the opening quarter. People bashing Billy Gunn, people saying that nobody wants to see Billy Gunn. Well, I mean, this was the best quarter, and he was in it, so...
Yeah, Billy Gunn absolutely bashed this week because... You know what, right? See, considering AEW's formula, he probably did get far too much offense in, but I actually think Billy Gunn should be battering Jay White. But for Tony Khan, I'm actually surprised he booked it that way. But to suggest that's why they lost all the viewers, I mean, these quarters just disprove that automatically. He got he got the highest thing outside the opener.
Yeah, he did. And then speaking of 2 big draws, we always hear how Mercedes Mone coming in for that money, and the Young Bucks are the kings of tag team wrestling, greatest tag team of all time. Quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30. We lose 11%. 11% of the viewers tuned out. We got 697,000 viewers, and this was Mercedes Mone coming out, interrupting Willow Nightingale, and then the beginning of the Young Bucks versus Best Friends. So, like, where's the excuse for this being so low? Mercedes Mone is supposed to be a game changer, and we always hear how the Young Bucks are one of the best of all time, yet they lost 11%.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Mercedes.
First quarter to also dip into the 600,000 mark as well.
Well, I would say Mercedes Mone, I mean, there wasn't many people who could have saved that Nightingale promo, but to maybe take a wee bit off of Billy Gunn, I guess you could say his match was the beginning of the second hour. Could you spin it that way? Is that why it's...
Well, you could. I think if you're in the beginning of the second hour, you've always got a chance of slightly popping the rating, but if Mercedes Mone and the Young Bucks are so good, you wouldn't lose 11%.
True. But the Willow Nightingale promo, man, folks, I can advise you here, if you have seen it or haven't seen it, do not see it. It was awful. It warrants that drop-off.
Yeah, up next, quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45, Young Bucks versus Best Friends continuation. We get the post-match attack with Chuck Taylor, and then we get Thunder Rosa versus Mariah May. This went up 2% to 711,000. Hardly anything to write home about. And then into quarter 8, Thunder Rosa versus Mariah May continues. We get Pento backstage challenging Edge, and then we get the Swerve Strickland Samoa Joe live promo. Loses 8%. Lowest rated quarter here of the show, 655,000.
What is the fetish though with like matches continuing into 2 quarters? Why can't matches just be 5 minutes? Like no wonder though they're losing all their viewers. So who the fuck tuned in to see Thunder Rosa and Mariah May last 15 minutes? If that probably lasted more.
It's the lowest rated clip out of all the clips that AEW have uploaded as well. So
you know, but if you look, see when the women were on screen. It's by far the 2 lowest.
Well, no, I that's exactly what I noticed about Collision. We pointed that out in Collision. That there was one quarter where it was only women. There was not a male in that quarter, and it was by far the lowest rated quarter of Collision. So I think there's definitely something going on
and
there.
What you've got to bear in mind as well is that no one expected it to overrun. So to actually pull that number before the overrun of 655, what the lowest one, that's fucking horrendous. How bad would it have been if Joe, like, let's say Joe and Strickland, they must have had, like, at least, like, the last 5 minutes before 10. So yeah. How bad would it have been without those 2?
I mean, AEW does tend to overrun, but I don't quite know how that works, because I'm not sure what comes on after AEW. I've never stuck around to...
Must be a pre-taped thing.
But, like...
Because Tony Khan, oh, thank you, TBS, for giving us the extra 240 minutes.
But what I don't get is, like, surely... Doesn't that just set the schedule off? And there mustn't be anything live after AEW, or else that would mess up the schedule. Of course, yeah. So after AEW, it must just be stuff that is already like pre-taped. I'm going to assume that's how it works. You think that's fair?
That must be how it works because, yeah, as you say, if it's live, it just doesn't work that way. It has to be something. But see, I'm not familiar with American TV channels. I've no idea what's on TBS. There's Big Bang Theory, Dynamite, and then what is another Big Bang Theory? Did the ratings go back up?
Anyway, there's no Big Bang in the ratings now. In terms of the YouTube clips, after approximately 12 to 13 hours after being uploaded, this is the order in terms of most feuds. So, the most feud clip is actually Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland in their escalating contract signing. That got 312,000. Then it was in second place, 172,000. Edge talking about the TNT Championship. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of them, but in last place was 60,000, and it was in last place by quite a distance, and it was Thunder Rosa versus Mariah May. So the highest rated clip by far is the Samoa Joe Strickland stuff, and the lowest rated clip by far is the Thunder Rosa versus Mariah May stuff. So I think that what that tells me is that the final quarter is being effectively shafted here because of the women's match. Had you just gave Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland the final quarter and you ended the Thunder Rosa Mariah May match before 9:45, I think that you'd have been looking at a much stronger quarter there. I imagine it would have probably done close to 700,000.
No, you would have been, but it's just scary to think that even CM Punk's interview is outdrawn all the clips combined for Dynamite. That's a scary thought for them.
It's not even close, so is it?
No, it's not even close, but we've said recently, Dynamite's been, stacked. Tony Khan's went all out with all these matches. I look at this. This is a very thin card tonight. But then saying that, you've got Edge kicking off, the Will Ospreay, you've got Daniel Bryan, the Young Bucks, Jay White, and then you've got Joe in the main event, and Mercedes Moné. But it does feel a bit thin. And know why it feels thin? Because Tony Khan doesn't really know how to do a normal show. It seems to be all out every week.
I think less is more sometimes, and my problem with Dynamite is I think he's trying to get so many people on the roster. There's so many people that's on the roster onto the show, and they're not. A lot of them aren't in significant roles. I think the best thing AEW could do is have a brand split.
Yeah,
I think that's the best thing for AEW right now.
No, but that is the problem though, because you've got people. You've got Collision and Dynamite, and they've got that much of a big roster. Somebody could appear, for example, on Dynamite, then Collision, and then not be seen for 2 weeks. The biggest problem for me on this show is the Ospreay-Bryan feud. To not even, acknowledge each other back to back is mind-boggling, man. The people that's going to buy Dynasty, right, are the same sad bastards that are going to buy it. But say...
Us?
Well, I'll be there. I'll be there with bells on. But say you're a Big Bang Theory fan, man, and you're like... this show always comes on after. I wonder if it's worth buying that wee pay-per-view thing. That's one of the matches. I wonder what that story's about. It's Ospreay's in the match. Daniels and one straight after him. They must be into something. Then it just cuts to another match. What?
You say Ospreay, so people know who that is.
I know, true. But here, you get me. You get me where I'm coming from, guys. Dynamite's doing the shitter.
Anyway, another poor week. Quarters aren't really up to much, and I think it's only going to get worse for AEW. Unfortunately, we'll see what happens. I would like to see a brand split. Whether we get one or not, probably not. Tony Khan does what Tony Khan wants, and what he does and what he wants isn't what the rest of us want, quite evidently, based on the numbers. Anyway, guys, that's it. Catch you in the next one. Till then, peace.